Okay. You guys are good. As far as injuries are concerned, Jordan Whittington's back's a little bit sore. Kind of tightened up in the game the other day. We're going to be smart with him, so he'll be off today. But I expect him to be able to make good progress, and he's a tough dude, and kind of being smart with him. And then as far as Puka and Darius, they'll both be limited, but they are looking good for the game.
How did Puka's imaging come back?
Good. Yeah, he was good. So the soft warrior. No, I'm just kidding. He's so dang tough, but he's good. It was good positive stuff on the scan, and he's as tough as it gets, and he's feeling good. So we're anticipating and excited about him being ready to roll.
Can you take us through the moves you've made, at least signing these guys to the practice squad? Why? And
yeah, really. I mean, we kind of talked about some stuff after the game, Gary, and it's all geared towards trying to be able to just get, some solutions and some kick consistency really with our field goal operation. And so I think it's important to be able to have good competition at some spots that we feel like we can, have improved play to be able to evaluate all 11. And so you bring Jake McQuaide in, you bring another kicker in to be able to work, with, he and Josh will compete to see who's going to kick for us this week. And if all things go well with Jake, we expect him to be our long snapper.
So what will be the process of kind of like evaluating the kicking competition this week?
Yeah, we'll implement more than we normally would on a Wednesday and a Thursday, and truly be able to kind of use it, for a competition.
And what is it about Jake that gives you confidence that he'll be ready to go on such short notice?
He's done it before, familiarity with him, and so we'll, he's obviously going to earn the right to be out there, but if he looks like we would anticipate and what he looked like yesterday when we ended up working out, two other kickers, things are trending in that direction.
How do you handle conversations about moves like that with Alex and Josh, respectively? Understanding that some of that stuff may be private, but to the extent that...
Yeah, I think just honest with empathy and try to be able to provide clarity. I think you always use the caveat, too, that, my job is to be able to make decisions that are, best for the collective. It doesn't mean I'm always right. I've certainly, made a lot of, wrong decisions, but the intentions are always in the right direction. And you just try to be able to let them know, here's what the thought process is, here's why. Both those guys were total studs about it. But again, this is one of the most challenging things is being able to figure out, all right, hey, who are the best guys to be able to, execute the plan and be able to bring it to life. And certainly there's a lot of layers to everything that's gone on in that phase, but those are two areas that, those guys have done a lot of really good stuff for us, but we want to be able to see a little bit more consistency in those arenas, and I think these guys will be here to be able to push them, and then that allows us to be able to make a decision and have some actions that are in alignment with being able to move forward and hopefully, a positive manner.
Sean,
Hi.
Any area of your team that you've seen notable growth since you've left the 49ers?
I think that there's been a lot of growth. I think the way that these guys work, Lindsay, is, there's, you always want to be able to improve throughout the course of the season. But I think the way that, guys have played on offense and defense, I think there's been real positives in the kicking game. We only punted a couple times the other day, but I was really pleased with our coverage against an excellent returner in Shaheed. When we were in a backed up situation, I thought Ethan did a great job of being able to pin him deep with the first punt that we had. And then, I think the biggest thing that I would say is I've been pleased with the way that we've started fast. Played good complementary ball, been able to jump out to some leads. Inevitably, you face some lulls or whatever, but I could go through a lot of different things, but I just think the total command that guys have and the ability to be able to just consistently develop a rapport and be able to strain to finish, I think that's been on tape lately.
And what have you seen from Davante Adams recently?
What have you seen?
A guy who catches every pass, throws them in the red zone?
There you go. That's right. That's what I've seen too. I've seen a guy that's been delivering on his on the times that his number's been called, and I think what's great, and we've talked about it a lot, he and Matthew have just been continuously working. They're getting on the same page. I think that's been a real positive for some of the uptick in the production in the red area, and I think that's where you've seen the points go. I've never been a guy that cares at all about stats. Points are something that are important. That's the only way that you win last time I checked. And so, when we're able to finish drives in the red area, I think that's been reflective where you're able to see 35 and 34, and there's still a lot of opportunities that we felt like we've left out there, which is a positive thing where there's a lot of growth. But Davante's been awesome.
It's a really tight race atop the division right now. Like, what do you say to the team going into this second matchup with San Francisco?
One day at a time. It's such a long season, and there's still so much ball left to be played. This is an excellent opponent we're playing. we're familiar with them. You know, we played them pretty recently, but you know, it's always a great challenge. We know that it's going to take, you know, 60 minutes and then maybe even then some, like we know what happened on the Thursday game. And so I think we try to have a consistent rhythm and routine, an approach that's geared towards us continuously improving while acknowledging what are the things that we need to do going against a specific opponent, both personnel driven and tactically. But our guys are excited about, you know, continuously taking steps to where we can improve throughout. And I think that's what the good teams do.
Is this among the best stretches you've seen Stafford play since he's been here in Los Angeles?
I think he's playing really well. He's played a lot of really good football throughout the course of his career, but I think what I'm currently seeing is a guy that's in total command. That's not any different than what I've seen in previous years, but what I think, you know, everybody makes a big deal about these numbers, but what I do think he's doing a great job of is, you know, he's not leaving the ball, you know, in harm's way either. Sometimes you get away with, you might have low picks, but you might have had some turnover-worthy plays. You know, he's been really great with that. I think he's got full ownership on what's going on. And, you know, something as simple as getting, you know, the eligibles on the line of scrimmage on a 3rd and 2. Did you get a kick out of that one, Gary? Got a little edge to him, doesn't he? But he's been awesome. I think he's playing excellent football. But there's a lot of instances that I could point to when he's played great football, and that's why we're fortunate to have him leading the way.
Is that kind of language that he was using on the field, do you use that in the mic when you're talking to your quarterback? Do you ever drop those?
What the F would you guess, Gary? You know what? I'm trying to watch my language a lot more. My kid repeats everything that I say now, so I got to be real careful about that. And I'm definitely not the head coach at home, so I can't get away with that kind of stuff. So you'd have to ask Matthew that.
The other day with Emmanuel, you brought up Aubrey Pleasant and just the relationship they built. Just what could you expand on that? Just what kind of relationship have you seen the two of them have, and how has that played into kind of Ford's development?
Yeah, I think, Nate, one of the things that's special about Aubrey is he develops a real relationship with his players, and it's not exclusive to the defensive back room. I mean, he's the assistant head coach and has, you know, great relationships with the whole team. You can see the way the guys respond to him, but you know, I heard John Wooden say before, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, and Aubrey epitomizes that. You know, he gets to know these guys as human beings. You know, I love sitting in the DB meeting rooms, you know, when there's an element of, all right, hey, we're going to get our work in. We're going to understand what's the goal in mind as far as the tactical is concerned. But he usually always takes time at the beginning of the meetings to be able to, you know, say, all right, let's get to know each other as people. Might be a fun thing. It might be guys being able to open up and be vulnerable. And he always starts with himself. And so he's a great teacher. He's a great coach, great communicator, and he's in it with them. You know, I think the guys feel that. You know, we talk about all the time, when you really mean it, you know, for the most powerful words you can say, I believe in you. And the way Aubrey coaches and the way he pours into those guys, I think they feel it. I'd like to think, I think I've heard Emmanuel talk about that. And he challenges guys too. You know, I think because he loves them, they enable him to be able to coach them hard, and they know where that comes from. And it's not by mistake that guys usually play their best ball under his guidance and leadership. All righty. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Sean.
Matthew, you talked about how the ball felt good coming out of your hand on that throw to the touchdown to Puka on Sunday. Like, can you kind of elaborate on what that means? Like, especially on those deep balls, like how can you feel like it's going where you're trying to put it?
Yeah, I mean, certain times you cut it loose and you feel like you put it, you know, in a tire swing right where you want it to, and other times you maybe feel a little less certain maybe about where that one, you know, as far as timing up with the receiver and where it might end up. So I'm looking for all of them to feel really good. You know, hopefully they do. Sometimes they don't, and guys make great plays on it and whatever. But always feels nice when guys up front do a hell of a job giving me time and step into a throw, and it goes right where I want it to. And obviously Puka did a hell of a job of completing that one.
How accurate is that feel? Like, when it feels good, is it always good?
I mean, majority of the time, yeah. Like the result may not always be,
Right.
you know, exactly what you're hunting up, but sometimes, you know, you put a ball up in a defense, as I say, and they do a nice job too. But it's always good when you can get more of those than not. Feeling good.
In terms of developing, you know, the ball comes out of your hand a little bit different. The guys like Aaron Rodgers, there are certain quarterbacks that seem to just have very tight spin, great touch. Is that something that you always have had since you were a kid, or did you have to go through development to get to that point? What's kind of led you?
I think I developed it. You know, I obviously had natural ability as a kid, and was always trying different arm angles and stuff and playing baseball and shortstop and throwing it around and turning double plays and throwing it down by my knee and all those kind of things that I think aided in that. But I think if you look back at how I played the game when I first got into the league, probably a whole lot more fastballs than there were change-ups and all that kind of stuff, layered balls. It was, I might wait till the next window and just hammer it through, rather than now I might layer that one or I might wait. I feel like I've developed a few more pitches probably throughout the years.
How did your earlier coaches feel about those arm angles?
Most of the coaches I've been around have been really, receptive to just knowing that I'm playing the game with feel. It's not something that I predetermine. I don't catch a snap and go, why don't we throw this one, sidearm? Sometimes it's a, blocked vision, or I'm trying to get around a guy, or whatever it is, or my feet are off, or I'm having to move in the pocket. Other people outside of, I feel like, the buildings that I've been in haven't always been in love with it, and that's okay. I feel like it's now probably more accepted than it was back then for guys to change arm angles. Guy in Kansas City's got a lot to do with that probably. People, rightfully so, have a lot of respect for how he throws the ball, and he's had a ton of success as a player and as a team, and that that helps.
You've talked a lot about the offensive line and how good of a job they've done keeping you clean. How much of an impact do you feel like Coleman Shelton has had on them being able to play as a cohesive unit? Yeah,
he's another coach out on the field. He's outstanding in his ability to communicate, make adjustments on the fly, and then he's playing at a high level too. So when you combine those things, I feel like on the offensive line, when you can go inside out with great communication and everybody's on the same page, that's when you have your best chance to go out there and play well. I think those guys are, have a great understanding of what we're trying to accomplish on every single play. B, have a great grasp of some of the looks that we expect to get, and then if we get something we don't expect, because we get that probably more so than some other places I've been, how do we adjust on the fly and make it right, and then just go out there and physically play great, which I've been doing.
Matthew, Davante, 7 catches in the red zone, all 7 are touchdowns. What do you make of that?
He's doing a great job of getting open down there, and I'm putting in some spots where he can go make his plays, and that's awesome. I think our coaching staff does a great job of, finding ways to, let his skill set come to light down there. And he's been doing it for a long time in the league, especially down in the red zone. He's got 100 and something touchdowns, and it's really impressive to see what he can do in a small area, both at the line of scrimmage and at the catch point.
And I'm just curious, growing up, did you have any ideas what you thought it would feel like to be 37 years old or something around 37 years old?
I don't think I ever thought that far ahead. No, I surely probably didn't think I was going to be playing NFL football still at 37. And when I was a kid, there weren't too many guys that were still doing that. It happens a little bit more now, I think, with just the way that guys take care of themselves, the way the rules are set up, all that is a little bit more conducive to playing for a little bit longer. But I'm sure happy to be doing what I'm doing.
To touch on what Lindsay said, the connection with Davante, and if you take a look big picture at the season, you guys didn't have any time together during training camp. What do you make of looking, big picture at the team, the success and where you guys are at now?
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Obviously, like you said, I missed a ton of time in training camp. I thought Jimmy did a hell of a job keeping our guys sharp and getting us ready to go, and I'm really appreciative of him for that. Our group did a great job and got ready to go. And then obviously I was able to come back in kind of late in the game there and feel good enough to go play. And then I've just been trying to, continue to try and play better, develop, and just whatever the coach is asking me to do, I'm trying to go out there and do it.
How different is facing that 49ers defense without Fred Warner in the middle of it?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not sure that I've faced him when he hasn't played yet, So, I know what it's like facing him, I can tell you that. And he's as good a linebacker as there is in the league. His ability to cover up some of the stuff that they ask him to do, in some of their middle field open coverages, is second to none in the NFL. I think with both his ability to move, his understanding of what offenses are trying to do to attack him, all of that is at a an elite level. And then the communication, the physicality, the finishing off on plays, all those kind of things is as good as it gets. So playing against any defense with Fred on it is a huge challenge.
What have you seen from Terrance Ferguson in terms of his development?
it's exactly what you just said. I think he's continuing to develop, and you got to give him a lot of credit. He's put a lot of work in. He's a guy that has a natural skill set. He's a really talented player. He's done a nice job the last couple weeks of, hey, here's your role this week, and can you go out there and master that and make the plays when you get the chances and go out there, compete, have fun, do all the things that we want you to do, and he's done a great job of that. And I think he has 3 other guys in that room and a coach that he can really lean on, to kind of show him how it's done, and he's absorbed that information and that feedback and done a great job of translating that onto the grass.
The 29-yard completion to Davante, the no-look you had on that dig route that he ran, I imagine there's more than just like basic surface level of communication that goes into the timing of that in terms of just the ball coming out of your hand, the moment he's breaking on his route. What's that collaboration or that process been like, and being able to, really get that connection to the point where you guys are making plays like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's all just reps and communication. The more reps we get, the better it's going to be. And then we are always communicating, talking to each other, giving each other feedback on, what feels right and all that. And he did a great job of just getting to the spot and the coverage that he needed to get to, and the timing and the rhythm of the play, and was able to put it in a good spot for him.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Having grown up not far, from where the 49ers are playing, what was kind of your experience growing up? I mean, were you a 49ers fan, and what does it mean to go back to the Bay Area?
Similar to how I feel about them now. Never really liked them. I mean, it's, and then naturally going to the Packers, that was kind of like our rival, other than, you could say the Bears, but we didn't really look at that like too much of a rivalry game. So, but yeah, all jokes aside, though, it was a team that, since I've been in the league, they've been in our way. With the Packers, they beat us a few times in some pretty meaningful games. So it always brings out a little bit more inside you. And then going back home, obviously being in front of the home crowd, it's always been fun to play those games in front of my family and like I said, my home crowd. Some people from high school going out there and everything. So yeah, it's a meaningful one.
Does it get old at all when you hear your name mentioned along like Tony Gonzalez on the all-time touchdowns list?
Nah, feels good, man. It never gets old. Obviously, I'm not somebody that plays for that or for the praise or the acknowledgments, or certainly not for anybody's approval. But it's something that means a lot to be mentioned with great players that, you look at some of the lists that, my name has been mentioned with, it's all Hall of Famers that are attached to it. So it means a lot. But, just like I tell everybody that's been reaching out recently about, touchdowns or, team success, we say we're gonna keep climbing and look up when we get to the top. So, or when it's over, so that's kind of my mentality.
On a team with Matthew, we've seen completing these no-look passes. What's your reaction in real time or in film?
Well, in real time, I look for the football to make sure I can make a play on it. And then after the fact, I'm always wowed by it. It's something that I'm starting to become accustomed to seeing a little bit more with him, just because, he uses that it's not like a specialty weapon. That's like one of his go-tos at this point. And that says a lot about him to be able to use that as something that he does as consistently as he does. So I love to see it. He's usually manipulating something to make a bigger window for us to run through. So I love to see it.
Forgive my naivety on here, but when he throws those, what are you looking at when Matthew's throwing with a no-look pass?
Same thing as if he was looking at me. It's the same thing, just finding the quarterback and, just staying on the move, staying ready.
You're just looking at the ball. You're not watching his face, where he's.
No, you can obviously see that, but once you look back, you find in the target, and 9 times out of 10, the ball's already gone before I look at him anyway. That's typically how we work on it for the timing of the play. So a lot of times sometimes I may not know. Like that one, I didn't know that it was no look until they were talking about it, and I saw the replay up there after. So the ball came out so perfectly on time that I turned and it was right there, ready to get caught.
And for you, you have 7 catches in the red zone, and they're all touchdowns. Mm-hmm. What's working so well for you in that area?
We've been finding a way to marry up the plays that we run out of certain personnels and find some one-on-ones, playing a number game basically. If they want to go one-on-one, and we like that matchup, and then if they want to make the travel somebody out there and play a bracket or a double team or vice, however they want to do it, then obviously we got numbers there too. They either run it or run another play.
On a play like that dig route where Matthew releases the ball so early in your route and you are able to connect on it, like what does that tell you about where you guys are in terms of building the connection that you've talked about these last few weeks?
I mean, it don't always work whether he's looking or he's not looking, it doesn't always work. But once you start getting no-look passes from Matthew, that means he trusts you. He's got a good understanding of where you're going to be and knowing that you're going to be in a spot you're supposed to at the time you're supposed to. So that's something that we've been working on, and obviously it's starting to, pay off a little bit.
You had the good fortune of playing with two of the maybe best pure passers in the NFL history.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like? What's different about those guys in terms of the way they release the ball from a receiver's perspective?
I mean, nobody throws it the same, so I mean it's going to be different for everybody. But I mean they both utilize the no look. I think Matthew probably has a little bit higher volume of no look passes than what Aaron would do. But Aaron's just got the ability to spit the ball out, with not much. He'll see something last minute and just let it fire. He's got that type of quick release, a lot of torque, a lot of core power to, get the ball where he wants to at the last minute. So that's something that he and I worked on a lot of times, where I may have a route that was 15 yards on paper, and one route versus a certain look, I may make it at 12 or 11 yards, and then another one, if he's super far off or whatever, I may have to push it to 16, just based off of that. And he had the ability to kind of sit there and wait on it and read my body language and, fire a good ball. And Matthew's a little bit more regimented of how he does things as far as, the details of the, knowing exactly where to be. But with that, he's going to put the ball where it needs to be, 9 times out of 10 there as well. So they both got their superpowers, and they use them differently. But, it's never one of those things where one is better than the other. It's apples and oranges, truly.
Matthew seemed 37 to you.
38. I'm joking. No, he's – I mean, you don't see any of that until maybe take off trying to run or something like that. But for the most part, he looks like he can go out there and sling it with the young gun still.
38.
It's messing with you.
How different from what you've seen on tape is this San Francisco defense without Fred Warner in the mix this week?
I mean, anytime you take Fred off the field, it's going to be, different for sure. I wouldn't say that it's that's still the defense that they are. It's the way that they're coached. It's just the way that Fred has led them to be over there. So, no matter who's in there, we expected them to be able to play the same type of, same brand of football. Maybe not exactly like Fred would play, but, guys are still going to be flying around.
Going back to what Gary was asking about Aaron and Matthew, what in your eyes is the key to them sustaining the way they've played for as long as they have, the ones that are at that level?
Just that cerebral approach to the game. It's one thing to have an arm and be able to throw, but you don't get into – that's a prerequisite to play quarterback in this league. You got to be able to throw the football, decently well. They critique everybody and act like certain guys can't throw well, but they can all throw the ball. It's just about how well you can, get on the same page with guys, how much you're willing to work through whatever, what he and I have, just because of the bumps we've had with injuries and stuff like that early. So anytime you got a guy that's cerebral about the game and understands the small, little different nuances, not letting certain things slide that are, important as to why, even a 12-yard curl works out, just understanding, I need you to be on the, outside edge of the numbers, inside edge of the numbers, or breaking at 6 steps versus, 8, those type of things are real important to him and how he sees the game. And, that's a big reason why I kind of got to be the cerebral player I am, is because of playing with guys like Aaron Rodgers, and he's a lot of the same as far as the details. Maybe not exactly with yardages, but honestly, that's something you got to work to, where you can start playing, with your depths on routes and different techniques and stuff like that. But he's a guy that obviously knows a lot about the game and has a lot of experience and played with some great receivers too. So being able to take different things from different guys and implement it into the way we do it here that's why we're able to make it look like we do. I mean, it's a offense's or a team's best friend, really. I mean, you obviously, and it's the kicking unit. It's not a kicker. It's there's so many pieces to it: the protection, the snap, the holder. The confidence of putting that confidence into your kicker. So, our kicking game, our field goal unit hasn't been where we wanted to be this year, obviously, but it's so many pieces more than just one person. So, we gotta make sure we find a way to rally on that. But optimistic that we'll figure it out for sure. Cool.